Hey guys, we're back at it again with another Nom Studios podcast. I'm Theo, and this is a space where we make big stories simple and community stronger. Today, I'm sitting across from someone who proves that not knowing the path is the most powerful reason to walk it anyway. This conversation is about to change how you think about what it means to be first. Let's get into it. So I got Wanda Almonte. How you doing?
Hi, how are you? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How has your day been so far?
My day's been great. First of all, that intro was like amazing. Thank you so much. I'm sitting there like, go on, keep going. Yes. True. Thank you for having me and thank you for the warm introduction.
Yeah. You got to start it right. So tell people a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you do.
I love that question. It's my favorite question, actually. So, Wanda Almonte Williams. I recently added the Williams. I've been married for several years. Long story behind that. So, Wanda Almonte Williams. What can I say? I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. So I wear many hats, and then I have my professional side, which we'll get into a little bit. Born and raised in Brooklyn. First generation Dominican family who immigrated, obviously, from the Dominican Republic. What else? What do you want to know?
I mean, let's start off with talking about that you used to have your own podcast, so you feel really comfortable in that chair right now.
I'm home right now. I live right here. Prior to the podcasting, what I didn't tell you was I was in the music industry for many, many years, right? So before Mrs. Wanda Almonte Williams, I was an MC, right? Born and raised in Brooklyn. I think like many young women in my time, we wanted to be that rapper, right? Before the Cardi B's and Nicki Minaj's, it was me. I was one of those girls. I came up in that time of like Remy Martin and Rod Digger, right? And so obviously Erykah Badu and Lauryn Hill, that was my generation, without saying I'm old. But I was in the music industry for many, many years. I was on Eric Sermon's album, Talib Kweli. I did a song with Talib, very fortunate, called Chillin'.
Get
Went
out
by
of
the
here.
name, yes. I was like, let me just leave this for like the hat, the rabbit, I pull it out. I did a song called Chillin' with Talib Kweli and Eric Sermon. It was just epic. It was just a dream come true. I worked with many artists, Foxy Brown. I transitioned into podcasting because once I became a mother, and not that I wasn't relevant, but life changes. You get older, now I'm changing diapers, right?
Yeah.
And so I transitioned from music to podcasting because I had so many relationships in the music industry, DJs, K Slade, Kid Capri. These are all people that I had relationships with. Rest in peace, K Slade. And I was able to interview them, right? So now you know me as an artist, but now let's talk about you, right? So I had to change that focus from me to you now. But I love that because it continued the conversation. It's no different from an athlete who is now a commentator, right?
Yeah.
They know the game, they know what to ask, what questions, and they were in that seat, right? And so as an artist or former artist, I feel like you never stop being an artist. I was able to engage my guests, right? So most of my guests were DJs and reality stars, Love and Hip Hop and that type of community. Yes, I did that for many years.
That's
so I'm
awesome.
home. I'm here. I can ask you questions.
I know, you're about to start interviewing me. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I got to
man.
hear one of your songs. I might have you spit right now.
Maybe in the background, a little plug.
That's what I was actually thinking about.
I'm just saying, with Montez. But anyway, we're going to leave that for another day. We'll leave that for another day.
I'm going to find your songs. And for the clips, I'm going to put it on the clips for social media.
We'll do a part 2. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. We do music here, right? We do like the on the radar type music here too. If you want to come out of retirement.
We should start all over again.
Okay. So if you were to describe your career in 3 words, what would it be?
Wow. 3 words. My current status right now. Career. My journey.
Your journey from where you were to where you are now.
Okay. Rough.
Okay.
Only 3, right? So rough because I had a really rough start. Resilient, powerful, right? Impactful and powerful always come to mind.
Okay, why those 3? Start with the rough.
Rough because my journey, and I share this very openly, my journey is not the traditional journey that most people take, right? I'm the youngest of four. And my siblings all went on to college, right? Straight after high school. But for me, I took a different journey. I took a different path. I was in the music. I was having fun. I was out in these streets, right? And so education for me growing up was like the furthest thing. I wanted to, like I say to the students now, is I wanted to get rich and make it another way, right? I felt like I don't need to go to school to get a job. I don't need an education. And so rough because I made a lot of mistakes getting there. And that's okay because that's my journey, that's my story, right? And everyone has their own story. But it was rough because I was stubborn. I'm a Leo and I like to do things my way and I don't like people telling me what to do. And so after I bumped my head about 10 or 15 times.
That's a lot.
And I was like, I should probably go back to school, right? Like everything that people have been telling me to do. And it took me 20 years or so to go back to college. You know, that little break that people say, I think I was just take a little break because I need to find myself. It took me over 20 years. And it wasn't until COVID when I decided to go back for my bachelor's to finish. I was not done. I was in school, out of school, in school, had kids, got married, I did all of these things, bumps, right? A lot of bumps, a lot of headaches, a lot of lessons. And then it was like a light, like that one. It just hit me. And I was like, I should probably go back to school. Maybe I can get the job that I want, right? So that's where the rough comes in. And again, it's my story. I wouldn't change it. I'm here today, right? What was the second one I said?
You said impactful, resilient.
Because then you have to find how strong you are, right? You find your strength when you make those mistakes, right? A lot of times when I talk to my other mom friends, we talk about how these kids, they got it so easy and they don't know, they don't know the struggle, right? Like I come from that generation, like we struggled. And so my kids, for example, they don't even know how to like throw out the trash. It's like, bro, just walk from here to there, throw out the trash.
How old are your kids?
I have a 16-year-old son and I have a 6-year-old daughter.
Okay.
Maybe 7. And so I'm like, bro, I went to high school. I lived in Brooklyn, went to high school in the city. I was taking bus, train every single day.
Going through it.
Right, right. And so I figured it out, and I got lost on the subway. Thank God I didn't get raped or murdered. Like there was so many things that when you look back now, you're like, damn, I could have like really went through, could have went left. And so resilient, like you have to really find yourself and the strength to make it. Again, I could come back and tell stories. Like I remember my first apartment, I didn't have electricity for 11 days because I thought I was cute, right? And I was like, I'm going to move out. I'm independent. And I moved out of my parents' home for no reason, right? My parents didn't kick me out. I moved out. Like, who does that? You have a roof, you got food, nobody's asking me for money.
Because you're from Brooklyn, I'm
from Brooklyn, I'm hard, I'm from these streets, right? I got this. No, you don't got this, right? Because when you're living by yourself and I got a little job, I can pay my own bills, but those bills come quick. That rent comes fast. And that cell phone, you're not giving up the cell phone. I'd rather I'll pay my cell phone, but I don't care about light.
What about the heat, the light?
Right? I don't need it. And I was, my friends would come over and they were like, oh, you so romantic and cute. No, I have no light. And that's why we have candles. We got no light. Because I couldn't pay my bills, right? And so what ended up happening is I had to end up moving back home, right? And so lessons, figuring it out. Your friends that you really thought had your back, they really don't, right? And so the resilience, boom, right? And now powerful and impactful is because of the changes that I've made and the adjustments I've made to my life and saying, okay, Wanda, figure it out, girl. Like, this is not where you thought it was going, right? You're a mom now. You have a home now. You have to find, again, that strength and that power from within and say, okay, I'm going to make like real changes I'm going to see the impacts for myself, for my community, for my family. I'm able to provide things that I couldn't provide before, right? When you see those things and you're like, look at us having a house and 2 cars. Like, look at us, right? Like, look at this.
We made it.
Not us, 5 years ago, we didn't have this. 10 years ago, I wasn't thinking of going back to school, right? And so that's the journey, it's just finding the strength and like, kind of like triumphant, like coming out of it, with your hand up.
Yeah,
so,
like Rocky on the steps.
Basically.
You said I know you wrote something. You said you don't know what you don't know until you move forward. I feel like you're an epitome of that. You having to go through all these,
Hurdles.
hurdles, the wins
Yeah.
and losses to be where you are right now.
It's important. I think that you have to acknowledge both. I think a lot of times people want to only talk about the success.
Mhm.
As a mother, I oftentimes sit with my son and I'm like, I smoked weed. I used to drink. Like, I did those things, right? I've been there. I understand these things, like, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and be like, don't do it, But when you look back and you're like, it's funny because I sound like my parents now, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm my mom, I'm my dad.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing good going on after midnight, like all these things that my parents would tell me, and like, you're a young lady. Young ladies wouldn't be in the streets, And I'm telling my son these things, right? And I'm just kind of like, I tell him in a way that he understands, like, I'm just trying to put you on to game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to make you understand, like, one mistake can ruin it for you, right? Everything that you worked so hard for. And I'll give you an example. He was hanging out with his friends, shout out to Ethan, and he snuck in some friends in my house. If it was 4:00 in the afternoon, that'd be fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because it's 2 a.m. and I'm sleeping, it's not, right?
Yeah.
And so I have to set up, let him know there's boundaries. Had you told me, I would have been okay with it. Maybe I would have just stayed up a little bit later, or
rather be in your house than out in the streets.
Go in the backyard. Yes, because again, I'm happy that he feels comfortable not to do it, but to be in my house, right? Mm-hmm. When you have kids, you want to be that parent that they feel safe in your house. They come to you, they feel safe that they can talk to you, because you hear the stories of the other kids that don't, right? Yeah. And so you don't want to be that parent. And so be safe, have fun, but like, there's also limits. And so like, you bringing your friends to my house when I'm asleep is disrespectful, honestly, like, because you don't pay no bills. Like, let's really talk about that, right? And so I had to set that, but it was my first time, right? It's a new lesson for me. Now I'm a mom. I'm like, I'm not your friend. Like, we are friends, but I'm not your friend, right?
I'm not one of your little friends, like our parents used to say.
Right. But we're cool, right? Like, I dab you up, you dab me up, what up, Because you're like taller than me. You're like, I don't know. But I'm learning to also adjust. Here I am, like, now you're not 5 anymore where I'm like feeding you. Like, now I'm like,
16,
I'm teaching you, I'm teaching you life, and like, don't make the mistakes I made, because one quick thing could end it for you. One girl, you hug her the wrong way, or one, it can go left. So, now these have real serious consequences, right? And so, yeah, man, it's just, I mean, like I said, I'm a walking story. I could just go on and on and on.
You remind me of something I just told my kids out there. I have a 10 and an 8-year-old. They're only 2 years apart, so they're really close. Yeah. 2 girls, they're always hanging out. My 10-year-old's in a place where like she's like hanging out with friends and she thinks she's getting cool. And they were out one day like with their friends at like a party or something. And then my 8-year-old got upset because she was just like,
she wants to be that.
She wants to be with her sister. They feel like, I guess they feel like they're both the same age. And the older one is just like, I don't want to hang out with you, like, blah, blah. So I had to pull her to the side and be like, listen, like, at the end of the day,
the day gotta end. I'm sorry. Anybody say the day gotta end?
At the end of the day, the day gotta end. But when the day ends, your sister is gonna be there with you. These little friends might not be there with you. Like, you don't know, but your sister is gonna be with you for life.
That's your day one.
Your day one.
And those are lessons you have to teach them.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like, I have to teach my kids to hug. I'm like, Ethan, say good morning to your sister. Give her a hug. Tell her how much you love her. Like, I'm teaching you this, you know?
Things that we thought like you just had.
It's natural.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Teach them to say, I'm
how
sorry.
How did our parents do it? I don't know.
You being Dominican, me being Haitian, I know my parents didn't say sorry.
Never.
Now I'm teaching my kids.
They still haven't apologized. Mom, you should be saying sorry to me for the thing.
So you got your MAB from Hofstra to Zarb.
MBA.
Sorry. MBA from Zarb. And you say it's really not about the degree. It's about how you got there.
Wow. Let me find out you pulling out my stuff. Yeah. Again, I got the 3 letters. That's what I wanted. I wanted those 3 letters behind my name, and I got them. But again, it's the resilience and the story and the journey to get there, because people have degrees. I mean, that's nothing, right? Like, people can come out and be like, I got my master's in this, or I got an MBA, or I got, my brother has a JD, right? Juris Doctorate. I'm like, again, I come from a family of immigrants and my parents. And so I'm very fortunate to have role models. My two older brothers, Eric Almonte, Harry Almonte, Karine Almonte. I'm the youngest. And so I've had really great role models to begin with, right? So I had no choice but to succeed, right? I mean, I at one point I was like, man, I'm the failure in the family. I'm the only one with no degree, no college degree. But look at me, we're here, we're all here, right? And so there's something really beautiful about that it was kind of like all the sacrifices that our parents made, we all kind of made it,
You don't feel like you were successful in your own right when you were, you're an MC, you're in the music industry, you knew all these people, like, you're working that, you didn't feel like that?
I did, right? I never felt like I was not successful. However, society does, not force you, but gives you a sense of like where you are by who you are, right? And I say that because you meet someone and you're like, hi, I'm Wanda. And you're like, hey, I'm Theo. What comes after that?
What do you do?
What do you write? And so, I'm an MC. I rap. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Red Hook, Brooklyn, the projects. Like, so, that's not me not feeling successful, but that's really like society almost casting it on me. Like, where did you go to school? Right? Those questions come and you're like, well, I'm a freelancer. Like, where do you go with that? Right? And so I've always felt confident in who I was and what I did. Put it like this. I tell my son, I was her. I was the one that when they wanted to go to a club, they would call me, get in VIP, concert, boom, backstage, right? Let's go. Like, I had those connections. So of course, I added that value of like, that's my sister, There's a show, there's a Hot 97, there's some summer jam, something. Let's go. Drake concert, let's go, right? Studio, let's go, right? I had that. And so definitely always felt like success, but I wanted more, right? On paper, what do I have on paper, right? When it's time I'm getting older, right? I got to do a resume. When you don't have anything to really speak for your work and like your life. Again, I graduated in 2021, years later. Like, I was almost not embarrassed that I was so late to the game. Because I remember telling my mom, I'm like, I just got my bachelor's, but like, I'm not going to post it, like, who cares,
Yell that at the top of the
mountain.
But
listen, right? This is my thinking because, again, society is like, all my friends that I went to high school with, I went to LaGuardia High School, Performing Arts, by the way, shout out to y'all. They had already graduated and had masters, owned businesses. And I'm here like, I'm going back to school, like, I'm going back to school. And so I remember calling my mom and I was like, okay, I graduated during COVID. Remember, I went back to school during COVID, graduated because I only needed a few more credits during COVID. So I waited all these years to graduate online, right? No family, no stage, nothing, just on a computer, waiting for my name to be called. And I remember I was home alone. Like, my husband wasn't home. He was with the kids. I was like, you don't even have to be there. Like, what are you going to do? Like, stand behind me? Like, right. So I didn't. So we didn't do it that way. Anyway, graduate, wearing my cap and gown. I didn't want to post anything, but I did take some pictures. And I remember telling my mom, I'm like, I'm not going to post it. It's really nothing. And she goes, I think my mom went up to like 4th grade education. My dad was probably like 1st or 2nd grade, right? And she goes, I wish I can go back to school. And when she said that, it really hit me because she just, she kept going on. She goes, you know how many mothers don't go back to school? You know how many mothers, they don't even think like, I have kids now. Let me go back and finish my education. And so excuse me, I saw the power in that. I saw the resiliency that was passed on to me. Like, okay, I'm doing it for y'all. I'm doing this for the sacrifices that you've made. So then I started to see, the work that I've put in and the things that I've done and how proud she must be, right? Like, I'm the youngest. Like, look, you did it. This is why you came to this country. This is why you worked so hard and probably didn't finish your education is so that we could. And so, yeah.
And still, now you get to say that to your kids.
Absolutely. Like, it was crazy because now I went back to school for my MBA, just graduated in December.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we were studying together. Everybody get a book. Everybody, we're going to do homework. And I'm glad it's over, but it was a great time.
Yeah. So when did you start? You started Boys Club.
The Boys Club.
Yeah.
Yes,
When
let's
did
talk
that
about that.
Yeah. When did that happen?
So I've been at Hofstra almost 5 years. I think it's 5 years already. So previous to my current role, I was at the School of Education, and I was project director of the Liberty Partnerships Program, which is a state-funded program, LPP, Liberty Partnerships Program. And part of my job was to create programming for middle school and high school students. And so there were already programs in place, but I knew that I wanted to create a program, right? And imagine being in a job where they're like, create something. Mostly of time, you just do whatever's there already, right?
Yeah.
So to have the opportunity to say, I got money in the program, I can order T-shirts, I can order food, I can create an actual thing. I always knew I wanted to do something for boys because I have a teenage son.
Yeah.
And I did it over the summer 25, and working with the students and connecting, right? Because you can be in the office all day, but when you go to the schools and you talk to the kids and you hear what they want and what matters to them, it's like, all right, girls always, and I'm a girl, right? Girls, there's always an opportunity for young women, right? But who speaks to the boys? That's how I looked at it, right? And because we did have a program already for young women called Project We, shout out to Blanca, there was nothing for boys. And so I wanted to fill that void. Having a son, not understanding that boys require a different kind of care. They're sensitive. My son is very sensitive. And I don't mean sensitive by the terms of like society, like he doesn't cry and all that, like not like that. And whatever you think sensitive is, I mean, like I would have to talk to him in a certain way just to get him to open up to me, right? Whereas my daughter, she's like, she just talks and she rambles, right? I understood that there was a difference, right? And so you have 2 daughters, right? If you have a son, you're blessed to have a son, because I always say when you have both, you're blessed because you get to see both. They're very different. But a boy, he already, I'm a boy. I don't cry. I'm a boy.
Yeah.
But what's really going on in there? Like, let's talk about it, right? Let's get into it, right?
It's funny you say that because just literally yesterday, we had a class from Eagle Boys Academy in Brooklyn. Shout out to Eagle Boys Academy.
Hey.
They're in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Let's go.
They come all the way to the studio this is the second time they've done a field trip to the studio.
Nice.
So we bring them in here. We get some pizza for lunch. They get to run their own podcast, talk about financial literacy. And, we have a conversation about like, mentorship, what you need, reach out to people, how you express yourself. And whenever they come here, that's the most fulfilling thing. Because even though I went to an all-boys school myself in Queens, Holy Cross High School, which is now co-ed, shout out to Holy Cross, it was a primarily Caucasian school. Yeah. So like that mentorship.
PWI.
Yeah. So that mentorship, all that I didn't get, which I wish I had when I was that age, because who knows where I would have been right now.
Exactly. And so, I know I go on and on, but like the Boys Club I'm very proud of it because it was from the ground. And I got some pushback for it because it was like, well, why, right? Why? You're creating something new. There's money involved. Why?
Because.
And what does it look like? And how can you say what something looks like if you've never done it before? And I'm not a man, right? So like I knew that in my mind, as I was designing this program, I wasn't going to be the one teaching it or facilitating it. So I had to hire mentors, right, to do the work for me. But it was my vision, right? And so I hired great facilitators, mentors to talk about self-love, self-care, etiquette, self-control, right? As a young boy, hey, you might slide, high five. That might be too rough. Maybe you put your hand too low on her back, or, right? you may not be able to always touch someone the way you want to, right? You should, there's certain cultures that you have to think about. And so it was a great week. It was a week. It went so well. This is how I gauged it. Monday was my first day. I said to myself, if everyone comes back, that's a good sign. But if some kids don't come back, that's also a sign it's not good. Everyone came back. Every single day, the kids came back. So for me, and the program is free. So it wasn't like we paid, we coming. It's free, but I'm still coming. And so when it was over, we did a survey. And the boys were like, I love it. I want to come back. The parents were asking me, like, when are you going to do this again? And I said to myself, well, I don't work there anymore, but I want to continue the program, right? I'm taking it with me. So it's not that I had a program there and it stayed there. So if you're interested, go there, call them, No, the program is mine. I want to continue it, whether it's here, there. So now I'm just in a space where I'm trying to figure out how to continue it, right? Where I want to bring it to your schools, or do I want to bring it still to Hofstra? So that's where I am right now.
What would you say as part of that program is the one thing that you feel makes the most impact in these kids' lives?
I think having a space for young men is important. It's really crucial. There are other programs similar, right? My Brother's Keeper, shout out to them. I think it's important that there's a community, right? As a mother, I oftentimes lean on my community of moms, of parents. I don't really reach out to any other dads, but like we have our mom group and we lean on each other. Can you pick up the kids? Can you, don't forget tomorrow's pajama day, right? You have these reminders and these people that can kind of keep you in touch of what's going on because everybody's busy. So I think it's important that the boys have a space and they can reach out to each other, right? You may have an older mentor in your group or someone who's going through something similar to what you're going through. So I think it's important for them to have that community and space.
Do you remember any conversation that was hard or impactful that you had with the group?
With that group specifically?
Yeah.
There was one boy who the parents were kind of going through a divorce. The student didn't tell me, but the dad did. And so the dad just kept reminding me like how meaningful it was for him to have this group and this opportunity to just be there. I mean, I can go on and on. There was another student who was homeless, right? And so again, when you talk about being resilient and just showing up, despite what you're going through, that's to me, like, that's why these programs are needed and necessary, because you may not see it holistically, but when you interact that one-on-one and you hear the stories and what they're going through and you're reaching out to the parents, you really understand and get an idea of like, okay, this is necessary.
So what would you say to a young Wanda? If you could whisper anything to your younger self right now, if she would even listen, though.
You trying to make me cry today? Is that what you're doing? Is that
exactly?
Is that the goal here?
The tears make for good viral moments.
Wow, I know. Okay, cue the music. No, the reason why I say that is because I actually I went to a conference not too long ago, and one of the assignments was everyone got a piece of paper, and they had to write a letter to themselves. And I wish I had that, because I think I cried because they asked us to read it. And you're going to make me cry. Anyway, I remember it started off with something like, look at you, girl. Like, dear Wanda, look at you. Who would have thought that you would be here today? And know that I've only given and shared surface things. There are so many things that I've done, good, bad, indifferent, that I look back and I'm like, again, education was not on my mind. I tell the students, that rich husband is not coming, right? We always think as young girls, I'm going to get married to a baller. And when it doesn't happen and reality sits in and you're like, wow, I really got to work. I really got to do this for myself. Like nobody's going to come and save me and rescue me. Then you really have to look at yourself and say, man, this is really on me, right? And so if I had to speak to myself, I would say it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And trust the process. You know, you're supposed to make mistakes. Nobody tells you that. Nobody says you're going to make mistakes, right? I tell my son, you're going to make mistakes. Yeah. The principal calling me, telling me that you were doing TikTok videos, that's nothing, right?
That's the least of
the worries. Like, I'm not mad at that. Like, I do TikToks with my kids all the time, right? And so, you know, keep going. Don't stop. What a lot of people don't realize is, and I think I said it earlier, is the mistakes you make is all part of the story. It's part of your journey. You know, you can't just say, oh my God, I've only made it. That's all I've ever done. All I ever do is win. I'm not Khaled, right? And so the mistakes that you make are part of the story so that you can say, man, like, I made it, but like, look how many times I didn't make it, right? Look how many times I like couldn't pay my bills and I couldn't pay that, you know, my car got repossessed, you know, like think about all those things that you like, damn, look at you, girl. You know, the last thing I'll say to you is, and this is really, really heavy, but I want to say this so that you all understand. 2 months ago, I almost died. 2 months ago. And I had a stroke. Me. You know, I'm thinking I'm still 20, but I'm not. And I found myself in the hospital. In the hospital. And look at me.
I would never thought.
No one does, right? And so I was in the hospital and the doctor was like, you don't look like you had a stroke. Like if I wasn't your doctor and saw the actual MRIs, I wouldn't have known. And so I'm not only like a walking miracle blessing. Somebody told me yesterday, girl, you're golden. I treat it as such. I'm here for a reason. You know, there's something. I'm like, God, what else you want me to do? Like, talk to me, because if that's not you're here for a reason,
then what is?
Right. I'm here for a reason. You know, I just started a new job and I'm like, I had a stroke. You know, I'm walking, I'm talking, I feel fine. But I'm also listening to my doctor's advice and saying, you know what, take it easy. How many times you take it easy, right? How many?
I just got this Aura ring.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's the fitness ring, and it'd be telling me I don't sleep enough. I'm like,
I don't care how many rings you have, right? Everybody's laughing. Okay, how many rings you have? Go get you a cardiologist. Go get yourself. Oh, you check my eyes. My eyes are good. My heartbeat is good. My ears are good, because you know they do the eyes and the ears and they open your mouth. Can you go get a cardiologist too? Because I want you to check me inside too, as well. I want to make sure that my heart is good, right? How many times do we go inside? Think about it, right? You go to your annual checkups and your physicals. Oh, you're fine. I'll see you in 6 months. No, how about my heart? How about my arteries, right? And so we don't think like that, right? We're thinking like, my doctor is telling me what to do, I'm just going to listen to him. No, you tell him what you want. I want you to check my intestines. I want you to check my colon. I want you to check my arteries. My artery burst. That's how I had a stroke. How would I have known that? No ear tests, eye tests, none of that would have told him that, right? And so, again, if I had to say, yo, Wanda, you're going to be all right, girl. Like, let me tell you, you know, you're going to be all right. Like, you've seen a lot, you've done a lot, and you're going to continue to do a lot. So if I'm walking around too confident and it's because I am. I'm blessed. There's nothing shy about me. I didn't make it here because of being shy or scared. So I'm just going to continue to go.
I need to connect you with Kim and Rich. Kim on the MC side, because she worked in the music industry too. So I feel like you guys definitely cross paths.
So let me tell you, one other thing about meeting students, I meet a lot of students in the music industry. And so I'm going to connect you with some of my students here at Roosevelt. Shout out to Ty Miyagi and Gio, because there's such talent out there. And so the last thing I'll say, I'll just keep saying the last thing, is I'm a people connector. Yeah. That's like my thing.
That's a question I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah. If I could connect people, that's what I do. Right.
Okay, so 2 questions.
Go.
Connect you with Rich because he's really big with Jovia and the Brothers Keeper. So I think you guys have connection there. But if you had to pick someone to be on the podcast to say, you should talk to this person, that'd be a good story, who would it be?
If I can pick someone?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Here. I mean, you got time?
I got time.
Because I got people. I got people. I know people. I know people at Hofstra that will come and speak with you. I know people on the outside that will come. And so that's nothing.
Yeah, okay.
That's nothing. I love what you guys are doing. I love what you're doing. I knew that this would be a great relationship from the beginning outside of work, you know? And so you let me know.
Okay, well, where can people find you?
Oh my God. Are we doing professional? We're going to just do LinkedIn or what?
Let's do LinkedIn. They both. What's your MC name if people find it on music?
You know, my mom is watching. I'm just kidding. We'll keep it professional for today, but I'll come back on another, you know, like another level or whatever. But Wanda Almonte Williams on LinkedIn. And we'll just leave it there. Right. You know, I don't want to get fired.
You just started.
What music? No, I'm just kidding.
All right. So thanks, Wanda.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
I told my husband, I was like, I am not talking about music.